Hello everyone, my name is Mark Anthony Abel, and this is another episode of Let's Talk Life with Mark Anthony Abel and my special guest, Tony Reid, who's a manager of Larkfield and New Hythe Club. Tony, absolute pleasure having you here. Thank you for coming into the studio. Obviously my house, not my studio. Who am I kidding, right? But yeah, it's an absolute pleasure. You know, we've known each other for a long time, all right?
Very
we'll
long
go
time.
into it much later.
Yeah.
But first and foremost, I just wanted to know, like, you know, you're manager of Larkfield New Hythe. What is that like being a manager?
Wow, where do I start? It's challenging. And when I mean challenging, not only you've just got to deal with players, chairmen, fans, personalities. You're being as well as a manager, you're being a mentor, a father figure, a brother, cousin, an uncle. You know, you have to diverge into so many things to ensure that you get the best out of your players, you know, and create a good harmony, you know, to ensure that you get the best out of them as well. And you've got to recognise not, you know, just behaviours as well. You know, everybody can have good days, bad days. It happens in football, but being a manager, it's being fun, and you've got to enjoy it. You know, there's times when you won't enjoy it. You know, you'll hit rock bottom, and then you will hit the highest highs. So coming back from a lengthy layoff, I'm enjoying it.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, you know, it takes a certain person, certain character to be a manager. Not everyone has that strength, and you, as you explained, you seem to have to have a certain kind of resilience. Do you think you've got that resilience?
Yeah, I do. And I think if you strip it right back as well, from the days living in Roehampton, and I never realised that I was coaching them when I was a youngster, you know, 15 years old. So going from like a player into management did kind of surprise me, but when you strip it back, you forget your timelines of how you got there in the first place. And, you know, I think when I first got into football managing, I think coincidentally it just fell into my lap because I was in the right place at the right time. But looking through my past, yeah, there's resilience, you know, seeing people and youngsters who are fully grown men now, you know, and I'm talking when I was managing kids back then, they were like 13, 11. Now when you're seeing them, you know, ripe old age in their 40s, and they're reminding you, like, do you remember you used to teach us down in the playground? I was like, really? Me? Yeah, do you remember that? Yeah, you used to kick all the big boys that used to come and bully us. And you're like, wow. Yeah, so, no, there is a lot of resilience there, yeah.
And it sounds rewarding. I mean, I wish, I mean, obviously I've had experiences, you know, a bit about my journey and my story. I wish that I basically had done more, realistically spent more time working whether in the care system, working in education, just being more involved in young people and kind of steering them down the right path. But it seems like life didn't put me down, you know, that's not, I'm doing what I can, but in terms of like being really on the ground, that's just kind of eluded me. So you've had that experience, and that's just amazing. So I mean, obviously I went to see one of your matches, and I was very, very impressed. There's a lot of things about being a manager that you know, I find just really impressive. I mean, obviously they get paid so much money, you know, the Premier League managers. So there's clearly something about management that people either massively appreciate, which we know. And so to be given that opportunity, that in itself is incredible. Realistically, if you think about it, how many black managers of any level exist out there?
Very far and few between. And as you just rightfully said, there's not a lot. And I think when I first started, I was one of those handfuls as well that made it into the frame. But I don't think I looked at that. I think I looked at it as when I got the opportunity, I was given back that what I never had as well. You know, there's a lot of kids, regardless of the race, they come from broken backgrounds. They come from estates. You know, some come from wealthy backgrounds, some come from good backgrounds, and they just want an opportunity. And sometimes, you know, there's a lot of politics in football. You know, that if you're just starting out or you want to make a go of it, you know, those are the hurdles that you got to overcome as well. And a lot of people, like I faced those when I was a player. So, you know, I think why I enjoy it so much because I can educate these youngsters, teach them as well how to become a better person or a better version of themselves, not just as a player, but as a human being as well.
Of course, yeah, cool, absolutely. But what do you actually need though? Because you talked about resilience. There's certain type of ingredients that a person's got to have. Because I'm looking at the kind of, you know, to be frank, the culture. Because I think when I look at the culture today, it does impact young people in so many ways that I think it literally hamstrings them in some ways to be able to have that ability. They may have this physical, they're not physical strength, say. They might have the strength, you know, because they've been through hardships. You know, so they might think, you know what, I don't have any value anyway, so who cares? Do you know what I mean? I'll do it, I'll put myself out there for whatever. But culturally, there are things in that so-called black culture that I believe inhibits young black men. And I remember I spoke to, I'm not going to mention a name, I did speak to a manager once, and I asked him, why is it there aren't many black managers out there? And he said to me, he said, look, you know what, I think it's down to the kind of attitudes some of these black managers have. Do you know what I mean? They don't have that resilience. They don't have that coping mechanism. Do you know what I mean? That some other players have, some other people have. And you put it down to, one might say, you put it down to the life they've lived. I know as a person now living as a middle class person, how much more calmer I am to what I was before, because the environments I'm not around people who are going to fly out the handle so easily. Do you know what I'm saying to you? So I think culture has a big part to play. What's your thoughts on that? Do you think culture?
I think culture is a massive part to play in it. I think a lot of people get misinterpreted the way we act. We're very flamboyant. We're very expressive. You know, we're all animated, should I say, as well. And again, whether it's right to say this or wrong, but it's sometimes whether your face fits. You know, yes, we do come from a different culture. We wasn't brought up on the same sort of process of a lot of people, you know, being given that chance. And sometimes we just scream at the chance, you know, please give us the opportunity so we can show you. But there's a lot of trust element as well in that, you know, whether is that the right person for the club, you know, sometimes there's a stigma to it as well. But because I've been playing for so long as well and I've built a reputation for myself, you know, and again, I would say me starting out, I was erratic, I was arrogant, I was feisty. I was that guy, and some people don't want to take that chance because they think, oh, problems. But it's not, it's passion, you know, it's being nominated. I'm very loyal, but what I do, I just don't let anybody take liberties. And I think that comes from the background that we came from, you know, we came from the streets.
So like trust is an issue.
Massively, you know, and some people look at it and think, if you don't deal with a black man, you know, per se, or have a relationship with them, then how do you judge someone? By the take, you only going by what you hear, you know, and sometimes it's just face value. Sometimes you've got to get to know the person a bit more better than just hearsay, because a lot of people will have encounters, bad experience, you know, run-ins. You know, some people have friendly conversations, you know. So there's a bit of both. You know, you get some people speaking good about yourself, some people speaking bad. That's just the way the society is of today. You know, so as for managers, it's about trying to get that opportunity. You know, since I've been managing, you know, I go and watch grassroots footballs, and there's a lot of black managers there. And when you listen to their conversation, you know, they say, well done. You know, you've made it, you've got there, you know. You're doing it for us, but at the same time, I accept the compliments. But again, it makes me a little bit sad as well, because
you kind of know that it's like, well, they're struggling that much.
Yeah,
they have to realise and think, well, this is a really massive opportunity to be doing it, which it clearly is. But yeah, but you know, you've been able to cultivate something. I mean, I said I witnessed you playing a game, you won the match. Winning's not easy in any football, especially when you've got the pressure of the chairman, the director, everyone expecting results. Do you know what I'm saying to you? And you've got to live up to those results. And you know every person on that team has to trust you. We've seen it I'm a Man United fan. We've seen it with Erik ten Hag not having a dressing room. We've seen it with Ruben Amorim coming out recently saying that, you know what, he's lost the dressing room. There's like people in the dressing room that are controlling the team. How do you cultivate the right type of atmosphere and culture within your team, despite the type of people within it?
I think I'll go back to my playing days, and obviously once you've got successful change rooms, like the camaraderie and that togetherness, you've got to create that atmosphere. So one thing I did learn as well when you go into a change room, and I'm going to strip it way back. I remember being a youngster going into a change room, being a young black kid playing football. I just sit by myself. I had this attitude, I had this chip on my shoulder. Yes. You know, it wasn't till, I'll name names, Mickey Taylor took me down to St Leonard's, and he's only about 5'1", you know, really, really smart. I used to call him Dungeon Master. He'll laugh about it now, but he's
one of the dwarfs.
One of the dwarfs, yeah. But what a lovely fella, and I think being in London as well, being surrounded with, you know, affiliated like with gangs and being on the streets and doing all your craziness that you do when you're a youngster. He pulled me aside and he got me up, like by the scruff of the neck. You know, when you're looking at someone thinking, I was just slappy, what are you doing? Like, you're grabbing me up here. And he went, get rid of that thing. I was like, what do you mean get rid of that thing? He went, get rid of that thing on your shoulder. I was like, what? Get rid of that thing on our shoulder? I'm looking at my shoulder thinking, what's he talking about? And he went, that chip, get rid of it. And what you can't do, when it doesn't go your way, you can't go round smacking managers or trying to knock them out all the time. I was like, oh, okay. If you want to be part of a successful team, you need to change your ways. And you need to become part of a cult, like a player, you know, be a character, you know, be yourself, and don't move yourself, don't isolate yourself from your team. And what he said was very true. And I think, and this goes out to all the young black kids as well, like, it has been a part of something if you want to be successful. So that changed my whole character, and I became like probably one of the biggest influences in the changing rooms. Like, I was vocal, I was loud, I was cocky, but I was funny as well. And what made that successful as well is that my teammates, regardless of what race we were, we all gotten together, having nights out, drinks, where back then...
So you opened up, you allowed yourself, you allowed people in, which obviously you might not have been doing before, but now you've gone, oh, you know what, I'm going to let it all out there, because you've got the manager who's supporting you and showing his care to you. So I think, so what you're saying is that it's literally about the manager being able to open himself up to the player,
to the players,
and get that player to kind of trust and respect him, get that connection, and with that connection, what poured out was your personality. Yeah,
and I think when you look at teams as well, it reflects the managers as well. And
definitely.
And what we've done, or what I've done as well, back when we go back, is that being part of something and enjoying it, going to football and enjoying it, being part of a team, having social nights out, having that banter in the changing rooms. And anybody that you speak to who's in football will tell you it's about the dressing rooms. That's why they love going to football. So, you know, when you're getting a place to respond, what you're doing now, you're creating and making the same sort of pattern that you've created before as a player. So what you want is a good change room with harmony, you know. And sometimes it's about trying to find the right personnel that's going to fit into that, you know. Obviously, not everyone's going to be loud. You're going to have about 16 to 21 players to 23 at most, you know. You're going to have some youngsters that are quiet, some are shy, some are not so loud, some are quite reserved, you know, but that doesn't make them bad. That's just them as a person. But, you know, I always say when I used to bring players into the team, you know, you do initiations, and I think a lot of clubs, even down from non-legal up to pros, they all still do it still. You know, that introduction when you come into a club, you know, so as soon as you walk into a club, you've got to sing a song or you've got to do some sort of forfeit.
Like initiation.
Yeah. And it works, you know, and that shows you you know, about a person as well. So yeah, I've kind of stemmed that and continue to use that in all the clubs I've been to. You know, you look at segregation in clubs as well. There's always little cliques.
Yeah.
What I would say, you know, you have a group of black boys in one corner, you have a group of white boys, you have a group of whoever in another corner.
That goes on still. I mean, obviously, that's the thing. I find that so infuriating.
It still goes on, and I just remember playing myself, and I remember our manager called me, and this was a Premiership club actually. Sorry, and when I say Prem, this was step 3, and he went, "I want you to come in. I want you to sort out my changing rooms." So I was getting known to be that player to come in and sort out people's changing rooms as well as get them playing. And I remember we had a group of Surrey boys, group of London boys, and boys from all over the place. And I just went, well, you sit there, you sit there, you sit there, you sit there. And what I just done, I just split everybody up. So it went white, black, Asian, whatever it may be. And what I always think is that if you got 2 big characters in there, don't let 2 big characters sit next to each other. What you do, separate them, put them on either side. And what that creates, if they're having banter between each other, let everyone hear the conversation. And then people will start gradually joining in that conversation, and then they start laughing. So what you're now trying to create is a nice ambience in there and create a good atmosphere as well. And then what you start seeing is that other individuals will start coming out their shell, start being part of that little aura of banter. And what they start doing as well is, you know, becoming a teammate. And then what you'll find is that the youngsters now, he's been a little bit chirpy. He's now challenging a senior player, and a senior player is challenging them. But what that creates is good partnerships as well, all over the park, as well as in the change rooms. And I think once you get that change room knit, that transforms onto the pitch as well. So yeah, I never used to believe in cliques, and I always say, and again, I go by my experience going back to when I first started. You know, I used to see it all the time. People come there and you feel very isolated, and then you're just sitting by yourself. So anybody that comes to my club, players, regardless if you're young, old, Asian, whatever race you are, there's no cliques, there's no isolation. What we do, we introduce yourself straight away. And the first thing I do, the moment you get there and you'll come out on the training pitch, I will say, Mark Anthony, Abel, tell me who that player is.
Oh, wow.
And then if you don't know,
that's not easy.
Yeah, but if you don't know his name, what I'm getting at is that
I get it. Yeah.
It's all about introducing yourself to
you
players.
better get to know him, kind of thing.
You've got to get to know him, because he could be your next teammate. Okay, then you can tell sometimes who's going to be good, who's going to be bad. But you know, you see a guy rock up in shin pads and, you know, fully kitted up in a training day. You know, okay, then boys, it's not one for us. He's just going to kick us all about. So again, it's just appreciation of letting him feel comfortable in an environment that, you know, as hard as it is, it's an opportunity. So it's a common thing that I do now, that when people come into the club, introduce yourself. So when I do ask you that question, and if nobody knows, if 5 people don't know his name, yeah, we will do a forfeit. And it's a little bit fun as well. And that relaxes the player also coming into the club, because he's coming from somewhere else. You know, there's times he may know people, sometimes he may know nobody. So don't let him feel isolated.
Brilliant. I love that. And it obviously makes them feel included, because a lot of the things that cause issues with young people, more importantly, is not being able to feel a part of something. And we hear, obviously, in gangs, this is something we might talk about in a minute, you know, not being part of a family, having no family, and having that connection with your brothers and sisters and your mother, or whatever, no father sometimes, and or more often than not. And then so trying to find this kind of replica, you know, family, or, well, I wouldn't say replica, trying to find this, you know, place where you just have people kind of connect with you. And if you're offering that, it's amazing. So now I understand. I know I've never really understood the drag. I thought, you know, for me, football was never, I love football, don't get me wrong. Remember, we used to play football. Yeah? We used to play football. But in terms of, I never ever imagined that I could ever be a footballer. Clearly, you saw more and believed that it could happen, whereas there's no way I saw even a possibility I could ever be a footballer. But anyway, what grabbed your attention though? What was the first thing that grabbed your attention and got you in along that path of football?
So I think when I first started, playing, are we talking? Managing?
Whatever it was.
So,
no, not managing. What made you think football? What was it that got your, I mean, we can talk about influences, but in terms of what grabbed your attention?
I think what it was, I remember, obviously, going to Elliot at school, we had that affiliation with both Chelsea and Fulham, didn't we? And
I didn't go to Elliot school.
Oh yeah, you went to Wandsworth Boys.
Yeah, Wandsworth
Boys.
Yeah.
Sorry, my bad. But
we went to West Hill
School together. Yes, that's right. We lived across the road.
And we went to, God's sake, the one in Roehampton.
Yeah, Hythe
School.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. we're going way back, aren't we? So what grasped me, and I think just playing regular, and there was no opportunities, and I think until when I went to Elliot, and I think because we had that affiliation, they sent us down to Chelsea, and
this is amazing.
Obviously we could play football there, we could trial there, and same with Fulham. And I remember...
Was that the same for Stephen Gale? Do you know Stephen Gale?
Yeah, Stephen Gale. Remember, he used to live behind me as well. I remember going down there, and it was YTS back then. And I remember going down there, and I was playing out my skin. And I remember when they offered the YTS, like, back then it was like something like £30, £50 a week. And for us back then, obviously, when we talk about later in life, why I didn't take it, was just simple fact, I was making more money on the streets. Facts. So... I remember going down there and playing, and I remember a senior player, I can't remember who it was, I was young and rude at the time, went, wash my boots. I beg your pardon? You went, wash my boots? I remember Mark Kennedy Abel picking these boots up, and I went, yeah, of course I do them. And I remember picking them up, walking out, and I just chucked them in the bin, and I just walked out. I just went home. But I wish I knew what I knew now, by the way. And I think, I wasn't going to let people think that I'm their T-boy or their boot boy, but that was the process back then anyway, which I wasn't aware of, and we wasn't taught that when we was younger.
What do you mean? What were you aware of? What do you mean? That you had to wash
that we had to wash boots as YTS.
Is it? Oh my gosh!
Yeah. So
because what you would have done is connect it to the whole kind of like prison thing. Where you go in the cell, and if someone says to you whatever, you're like, "Bo, I mean, once you've done that, you're finished." Right?
Yeah.
They own you.
Yeah, they own you. Yeah. So I weren't doing that whatsoever. So anyway, I've continued to play football. I'm in and out of school, playing football, and I didn't think there was any hope until an older player, a guy called Ruben, bless his soul, he passed away, and he was an older, and I was only 16, 17, yeah. And was playing in the park, I swear, it could have been either Danebury Avenue or one of the parks anyway. He come to me and was playing against him, and he went, you can play football. I went, yeah. And he goes, oh, who do you play for? Like, do you play for pro or anything? And I went, no, I just play football. And he grabbed me and he went, you're going to come with me. And he took me down to a semi-pro club. Which back then was Kingstonians. So that's what attracted me to playing football. And I think having someone of an elderly figure like taking me off the streets as well at that, and giving me an opportunity to play football, just gave me an insight of what it could be like. So when I went there, it was just a total different concept of, wow, there's semi-pro non-league football that you actually do get paid for, which I was totally unaware of. And these are the things that a lot of kids don't know. I think when they drop out of football or pro football because of having trials here, there and everywhere, there is also a lifeline outside of that with non-league football that will give you that opportunity as well. So that's how I became involved in football, just through a guy called Ruben,
I love it. And once again, I mean, it's like, I know for my life, this is what got me out of the kind of situations I grew up in, was the fact that someone mentored me.
Yeah.
So we can, I want to look at just, we obviously knew each other when we were growing up, right? But what was it like? We talked about football, but what was it actually like? You mentioned a few things and stuff that you skirted around to come to the ball. What was it actually like growing up? Just give people a little bit of an idea of what it was like for you, the struggles you actually went through.
Well, growing up on a council estate wasn't easy, as you know. Living in a 2-bedroom house with 4 siblings and everything. Living in Wandsworth at the time, Army Way, which was predominantly a black area, quite ghetto-ish.
You had the Yardies
to come
as well.
Yep, that's correct. And so there was that stigma, and I think obviously growing up, when they were moving people out, Roehampton became the next stop for us, and we went to Roehampton.
Which was like a lifeline, even though it was the most racist place on the planet. It was like living in the back. It was living in the old times. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We went back 10 years or 20, 15 years.
Oh, of course we did.
But it was an opportunity for us to break away from that culture that we were stuck in.
Yeah.
Which would have probably sent us down a completely different
route. And
we'd have gone down the Battersea, Clapham,
Yeah.
Wandsworth path. We'd probably be in prison for life and done some crazy stuff.
I always mention that, and I swear by that today, that if I didn't take the other path, I think I would have been in jail now, easily. But I think, as you said, it's we capitalised ourselves and we went the right route. And obviously, growing up, it was fun growing up. I'm not going to lie. I think my youth was really good. Even though Roehampton was, yes, most racist estate in the world, we grew up with a very mixed culture of kids that, you know, you had street parties, we had a load of play centres, we had like youth clubs, the Alton Club.
The Alton Club, but the Alton Club had skinheads sitting on the wall.
Sitting on the wall, yeah, chasing you all about the estate and everything. You had the Boys Club, which was boxing, you had the Penny Club, you had Parish Hall, you know, and I think we was quite blessed, if I'll be honest with you.
No, we were very, very, very lucky.
Very lucky to have all these things, and even though when you...
England offered us a lot.
Yeah.
You know, what we want to say, there was a lot of things that England offered us. If you wanted it, you could be a part of it.
You could do, but being kids as kids, you're going to experiment, you're going to try new things.
We felt uncomfortable as well sometimes in a situation. So
There was uncomfortable situations. Sometimes I'm coming out my house, going to the shop, and next thing you know, I'm running over greens, I'm jumping walls, I'm skating because I've got about 20 skinners chasing me. Yeah, but that didn't faze me whatsoever because, again, I think coming from the background that I came from, I think I used to go out and look for them as well. Like, I was that person. Like, I wasn't running away from people. They were older than me, but I just had big kahunas, you know? So I'll deliberately go out there and I'll think, let's have a little fun with them, chuck a couple of milk bottles, and all the boys look at me thinking, man, Reid's kind of crazy, man. What's with this kid? So, you know, it made you who you are, though, you know, growing up. And that aspect, yes, we went through that lifestyle of gangs, racism, but coming through that as well, you know, you can't say that where we grew up, there's a lot of people that are racist because I grew up with a lot of white people. You know, you're looking at my street itself. It was so multicultural that all the kids growing up together used to play together. So you never used to picture them as being racist. It was just us growing up as kids, and we enjoyed it.
And we saw good white people.
Yeah.
We could identify with good white people and know what a bad white person was like. Whereas I think today a lot of people just think there's got this blanket idea of what black people are like, or blanket idea of what white people are like. And I'm like, you just don't understand. There's a lot of good white people out there as well.
And funny you saying that. We won't mention no names, but I think we spoke about him a few times. Used to live in behind the blocks with us. He was racist, but his sister wasn't. Lee.
Yeah, I'm not mentioning the names, unfortunately,
but
I remember I used to get chased if I was trying to date a girl back then. The brothers would come after me. I wasn't happy with it.
But it's funny because the sister was always with us. She used to come and knock us up. We all go out, we all play together and everything else. But I think it was just the older generation that obviously we was dealing with. But I think our generation had a very good understanding of relationship.
But there was there was a kid that hit me with a chain at school. You know, and I won't go into all that stuff. So there was a lot of things. There was violence.
Yeah.
I mean, there were people of our age who were very, very racist. But at the end of the day, as I said, we got through a lot of it. You seem to be talking about very positive things at the end of it, which I think it's really awesome.
Yeah. Listen, life is life, and a lot of people, when you're looking at society of today, I don't think the society of I don't think they had it as hard as we had it back then.